Good morning. So today we're doing lesson 144. Yes, page 259. Had to double check. One thing, being on camera doesn't make me realize I look really tired. I think I just need a little more eye makeup. But I do have my coffee. Yay! So we're going to do no mental math problems, but review some measurements and things, since that's what we're going over with compound measures. So we're going to try to do these as quickly as possible. With a review, you should be able to say them either before I do or with me. I'm only going to pause slightly. You should know this is 12. All right, here we go. I'm going to hold this closer. 3, 36, 5,280. 1,760, 10 decimeters in a meter, 100 centimeters, 1,000 millimeters, 1,000 meters, 100 meters, 10 meters. So there's 10 decimeters in a meter, 10 meters in 1 decimeter. 1/10 or 0.1, 1/100th or 0.01, 1/1000th, 0.001, 10, 100, 1,000. Some capacity measures. 2, 4, 3, 8, 16. Remember, there's 2 cups in a pint, so if a cup is 8 fluid ounces, a pint would have to be 16. 8, remember there's 8 quarts in a peck. You're going to need to know that today. 4 pecks in a bushel. 60. 60, 24, 7, about 52, 365, although that seems like we've had it just that many days in March alone, right? 366, 12, 10, 20, 100, 1,000, 16, 2,000. So just a quick review of some of those measurements. Hopefully you knew them all very quickly. We've used them quite a bit, and since we're using compound measurements, that would be helpful for you to know those without having to look any of them up. All right, as a review of yesterday's work, we added compound measures, so quickly pause. Go ahead and solve this on scrap paper or off to the side, and add 7 gallons 3 pints plus 5 gallons 3 pints plus 6 gallons 2 pints. Or quarts. I'm reading it backwards. So sorry. It looks like a P in mine, but it's a Q. It's a Q. Quarts. All right. Let's see if you got 18 gallons, 8 quarts when you first added it, but of course there's 4 quarts in a gallon, so really those 8 quarts are 2 gallons. When we add that to the 18 gallons, our combined total is 20 gallons even. We didn't have any quarts left over, so hopefully you got that. All right, we're going to move on to subtracting compound measures today. So let's go ahead and read through the examples in your worksheet. Again, this is page 259. And we're going to do some examples on the board and see how you do. There's going to be some borrowing involved. And we've done this a little bit at times, but let's do it some more together. All right, subtracting compound measures, just fact, there's only one. Borrowing before subtracting compound measures is sometimes necessary. So the examples I have up on the board, that's what it's going to show. It's not always necessary, but a lot of times it is. So for example, here we've got 6 hours and 10 minutes minus 3 hours, 36 minutes. We can't do 10 minus 36. All right, so we are going to have to borrow an hour. and make that 5 hours, we're going to convert that to minutes. Well, we know an hour is 60 minutes. So we have to put that together with this. 60 with that 10 now gives us a 70. And we definitely can do 70 minutes minus 36 minutes. 70 minus 30 would be 40 minus 6, 34. 5 hours minus 3 hours. There's nothing here to convert. We don't have enough to make it another hour. So our answer is just going to be 2 hours, 34 minutes. We can do the same thing when we're talking about measurements like distance. So 7 yards minus 19 inches. 7 yards, 19 inches minus 4 yards, 25 inches. I need more coffee. That's for sure. Okay, again, we can borrow a yard, making that 6. How many inches in a yard? Hopefully remember that's inches, not feet. 36. Okay, so 36 inches from that yard we borrowed, making it inches. We have to put it together with this. Okay? 36 plus 19. Well, we know 36 plus 10 is 46, plus another 9 makes that 55. So if you're confused how we got 55, let me go over it one more time. We borrowed a yard. A yard we know is 36 inches. We use that 36 inches to help out this 19 inches. Okay, so the 36 and the 19 get put together, so we have enough to be able to subtract now the 25. 55 minus 25, 30 inches. That's not enough to make a full yard, so we just subtract 6 yards minus 4 yards. Make sure you're using your abbreviations. I do want you to show where you're borrowing and what your total was here that you ended up with, just like I showed, 55 inches here and 70 minutes here. So in your books, at the top of the page, section 1, I want to do A, B, and C together to make sure that you are doing this right, that you understand it. So we've got 13 pounds, 5 ounces, 15 ounces. I want to make sure I copy the problems correctly because that caused an issue last week when I copied the problem and it was not the same one that was in your book. Minus 6 pounds, 4 ounces? Yes. All right. I know some of you are already working on these while I'm writing. And when I go over the answers, that'll be a good time for you to check yourself. 3 feet. Others of you are just sitting there staring because you're still in a daze and not quite awake yet and wondering why your parents are punishing you, making you watch school at home. You'll live and you'll be smarter for it. So thank your parents. And I'm going to do C down here, 12 hours, 10 minutes. Minus 5 hours, 25 minutes. Okay, guys. Thank you for being patient. You don't have a choice. Let's go. And notice when we're subtracting here, I don't have to borrow. I told you that's not always going to be the case. 15 ounces is greater than 4 ounces, so we can just subtract 9 ounces. It's obviously not enough to convert to any pounds. And then we could subtract 13 minus 6 and get 7 pounds, 9 ounces. We didn't have to borrow here. Here, we cannot just drop the 4 inches. That's not going to work. We need an amount here to subtract or take away that 4 inches from. So we're going to borrow a foot. A foot is 12 inches. And I'm just going to put it here to show that it wasn't part of my original problem. It is what I borrowed and put in. 12 minus 4, 8 inches. not a full foot, so we go ahead 4 minus 3, 1 foot. 1 foot 8 inches, we're going to leave it just like that as a compound measure. All right, on this one, 10 minutes minus 25 minutes is not going to work. We're going to have to borrow an hour. An hour, of course, we said is 60 minutes. So put together with the 10, now we have 70. Now I can subtract. I have 50 minutes. 11 minus 5. 6 hours. 6 hours and 50 minutes should be what you have. Do D, E, and F on your own. Pause while you work it and come back and I'll see with you if you've got the answers correct. Well, you'll see with me. Wow, I didn't subtract correctly. I want to fix this one. I knew that was going to happen. This is what happens when I rush. All right. All right, hopefully you are back. Let's make sure I have them correct. I did something wrong. Oh, I was thinking 75 minus 25. That's 75. See, this is why you should always check your work. Because I was thinking 75 minus 25 is 50. I didn't look carefully at my own work. So sorry. You probably caught that. All right. We fixed it. Fix it on yours if I messed you up. All right. Problem D. When we borrow from the 11, we take away 4 quarts. Put it with the 2 quarts. You should have had 6 quarts. When you subtract, you get 3 quarts, and then 10 minus 2 is 8. 8 gallons, 3 quarts. E, you had to borrow some days. I wish I could borrow days. 27 weeks becomes 26 weeks, and that's, of course, 7 days. Put together with the 3, that's 10 days. So 10 days minus 6 days is 4 days, and then 26 weeks minus 14 weeks is 12 weeks. So 12 weeks, 4 days. And then F, we had to borrow some inches. All right, so we borrow a yard, making the 3 a 2. We add 36 inches to that 16, which gives you 52. 52 minus 35, 17 inches. And then 2 yards minus 1 yard is a yard. So a yard and 17 inches. Go ahead and do 2, A, B, and C. And we'll go over those answers after you unpause. All right, hopefully you completed the problems. Let's check section 2 answers. Number 2, you should have gotten 7 hours and 70 minutes, which you then have to take that 70 minutes and take away an hour. So that itself is an hour and 10 minutes. Adding it, we get 8 hours and 10 minutes as our compound measurement answer. All right, for B, we get 611 pounds, 18 ounces. Well, 18 ounces is a pound and 2 ounces. So we have to add that in correctly. And what we get is 612 pounds, 2 ounces. For C, we had to borrow, we're not subtracting. We have to add, and we get 10 feet, 17 inches. 12 of those inches is another foot. So really what we have is a foot, 5 inches. So putting that with the 10, you now have 11 feet, 5 inches. Okay. Number 3, A, I want to go over this together as well to make sure you are remembering how to solve equations. We've got x plus 7 equals 2 to the 4th power. Did I write that correctly? Yes, I did. All right, what is our goal? Get the variable alone. All right, so our first step to do that is what? Simplify the side without the variable. Hopefully you remember that this stands for 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. All right, it is not 2 times 4 is 8. 2 multiplied 4 times when we have that exponent. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Let's rewrite the equation. This should be how you're showing your work. You don't have to show that part. That's me reminding some of you how exponents work so you don't jump into a very easy mistake. So this we said is 16. So I'm left with x plus 7 equals 16. What's our next step? Undo the operation with the variable. How do we undo adding 7? We take it away so that this is gone. But what is the rule we have to remember? This is a balance. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So if I subtract 7 here to keep it equal, I have to subtract 7 there. X now equals 9. How do we check? Well, we put this back in as a substitute for x, because if that's its value, it should fit. So we rewrite the original equation, 9 plus 7 equals 2 to the 4th power. We already said this is 16. 9 plus 7, that is 16. It checks correctly. Please make sure you are showing your work. I should see all of this on your papers. Here's what I'm seeing from half of you. Okay, congratulations. How do I know how you got that? Oh, I thought it in my head? Okay, how? Right? Remember, we're learning the steps in the process so that when we get to complex problems, it should be a snap. Right? Not all of the problems that we're going to end up with moving into the next year are going to be able to be done in your head. I need to see your work and that it came from you and not that it came from someone else or that you Googled it. All right, so make sure you show your work and you're not pulling this laziness. Go ahead and do B, C, and D. Pause, because I'm going to give the answers so you can check yourself. All right, let's get to this. The first thing you had to do was subtract 15 minus 7. You should have x over 6 equals 8. How do we undo that 6? We multiply. We have to keep it equal, so we do it by both sides. We end up with x equals 48, and you should have checked your work. C, x equals 3 when you solve that, and it does check out when you substitute it back in. All right, and then D, we had a couple things to do here. Hopefully you followed order of operations and did that exponent first. All right, 3 squared. That's 9. Then added in the 5. So you should have x minus 1 equals 14 when you simplify that side. You have to keep in mind that that order of operations applies to everything we do moving forward. So hopefully you didn't do 5 plus 3 and square that to get 64. If you did, go back and fix it. So x minus 1 equals 14, which means x is going to equal 15. So if you have to go back and fix that, please do that so that you have the correct answer and the correct work. That's the important part. On the back, number 4 says find the perimeter and the area. You should know these formulas. A, the perimeter formula is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. How about the area? Length times width. Good. How about B? The formula for perimeter. Side plus side plus side. We don't even need the height for that formula, so watch out which numbers you're using when you're talking about perimeter, the outer edge, the distance around it. How about area for that triangle? 1/2 times the base times the height. How do you know what the height is? Remember, look for that square corner, that right angle marking that shows you the base and the height are connected. 1/2 times the base times the height. And then the last one, C, rectangle is the same. Double the length plus double the width for perimeter, and then area, length times width. Number 5, you're finding the circumference and the area, and it gives you a 9-foot radius. Now remember, radius is used in the area formula. What's used in the circumference formula? Diameter. Please make sure you're using the correct information. If we have a radius, how do we find the diameter? we double it. Double the radius gets diameter. Double for diameter, D, double for diameter. So circumference, pi times diameter. Area, pi times radius squared. So if you're not using the correct formula, you're not going to get the correct answer. And I still saw some of you doing that last week. Please work carefully. Cross off number 6 and 7. Those are two problems that were part of the lessons we skipped. And then number 8, you're finding the answers. Don't forget what you need to do with that decimal point when it's outside the box. We've done a couple of practices of this already during our online sessions, so you need to remember it doesn't do enough just to show the caret. That decimal point has to be in your answer to make it correct. All right, so that's it for today. You're going to finish the worksheet except for 6 and 7, and then we're going to get started tomorrow with multiplying compound measures. And I'll see you then. Talk to you later.